Hi, Shruti. How are you all doing? एक सेकंड मैं जरा पीडीएफ खोल So we'll wait for 2-3 minutes for this join. Excuse me. Is any one of you from Gujarat by any chance? Let me get. Shruti, you are from Delhi, right?
Sir, I'm from Rajasthan,
Okay, where in Rajasthan?
Ajmer.
Okay. And Atharva, you are from Pune?
Not Pune, but from Maharashtra, Barshi, Solapur.
Okay, Sulabh. And Rishabh, where are you from?
Sir, I'm currently living in Mumbai, but I'm from Himachal.
Oh. And what about you, Abhinav?
Sir, currently I'm staying in Thane, but my roots are in Calcutta.
Okay. And Alan, I guess you're from Kerala, right?
Yes, sir, I'm from Kerala.
And where in Kerala?
Kochi, sir. Ernakulam.
Kochi. Oh, you know Fort Vinay Fort Kochi?
Yes, sir. The actor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big star, right? In Malayalam industry.
He's not a big star, but still he's a iconic actor, I guess.
Okay. मेरा बैचमेट है, वेरी क्लोज फ्रेंड.
Uh-huh.
नहीं. और कौन है? ये कौन है? मिस्टर मिमिक्स.
सर अरमान, मैं आई गेस मेरा
अच्छा.
वो उससे आ गया, गलत मिल से आ गया शायद मैं आज।
अरमान, कहाँ से हो तुम?
सर मैं वैसे तो बैंगलोर से हूँ, आई लिव इन बैंगलोर।
अच्छा. Like born and brought up in Bangalore, is it?
नॉट born and brought up in Bangalore. I was like मेरे पापा आर्मी में थे, तो हम लोग यूजुअली वी यूज्ड टू शिफ्ट अराउंड प्लेसेस इन इंडिया।
Okay.
तो वैसे तो मैं
Okay.
प्रैक्टिकली साउथ इंडियन होना चाहिए, बट आई स्पेसिफिकली मुझे कन्नड़ा उतनी आती नहीं है। लाइक आई एम मोर
Oh,
नॉर्थ इंडिया इन्फ्लुएंस्ड।
okay. हाँ, वही एग्जैक्टली. तुम्हारी स्टोरीज में भी नॉर्थ इंडिया बहुत यार, साउथ इंडिया लोग क्यों नहीं कवर करते यार? एलन, व्हाट अबाउट यू? व्हाई डिड यू ब्रिंग द स्टोरीज फ्रॉम केरला एंड लेट्स से हु एल्स? Nobody. But you should stick to your spaces, your your culture, your upbringing basically.
यस सर, मैं अभी ट्राई कर रहा
Bring
हूँ, मतलब यहाँ की और चीज़ों के बारे में
तुम्हारा
जान के उनको यूज़ करने में।
तुम्हारा मुझे समझ में आता है. तुम्हारा कोई ऐसे
यस सर।
लाइक कोई एक स्पेसिफिक स्पेस या रीजन या कल्चर को आइडेंटिफाई करना मुश्किल होगा. तो
यस सर, ट्रू, वेरी ट्रू।
fair enough. But yeah, I think the see some in some workshop, in some class, some master filmmaker would come to us once upon a time, teachers. उन्होंने एक बार कहा था कि get back to your roots. Getting back to your roots is a very important thing because somewhere you'll make more honest films if you get to your roots. Your films will be more you know, and not really pretentious. So that is something that has struck me very, very strongly. तो क्या होता है ना, तुम फिल्म बनाते हो ना, और जब वो बन जाती है और जब स्क्रीन होती है तो बेसिकली सिल्वर स्क्रीन पे जब तुम्हारी फिल्म हिट करती है ना तो तुम्हारी फिल्म नहीं चल यू आर स्टैंडिंग नेकेड यू स्टैंडिंग बेयर नेकेड so it comes across if it is a pretentious film if it is an honest film if it's a heart touching film honest film will definitely touch some chords इसमें तो कोई शक ही नहीं मेरा इस पे तो लोगों ने दाव लगाए हैं मैं भी लगा सकता हूं। so don't shy away from going deeper into your roots and bringing some stories from there. And when I say roots, you don't really need to go to your ancestral places and figure out wherever you were born and brought up, wherever you spent your childhood, uh, whatever misdeeds you have done in your as a child or as an adolescent, teenager, even the younger selves of yours. So bring stories from them, bring from your own experiences. They are far more heart touching because they are fresh. They have layers of nuances. मतलब तुम कुछ भी कर लो उसको तुम प्लास्टिक नहीं बना सकते हमारा nuanced एक story रहेगा ही। कितना भी सिंपल हो कितना भी कॉम्प्लेक्स so it will definitely make an important sense. So anyways, should we begin? I think we should begin. We have 27 pages to cover today. It will be a big problem. Start writing. Okay. So there was only one question, isn't it? Write short notes on any four of the following questions. And the questions were, using a period film as an example, elaborate on what you think is more important in a work of fiction, historical accuracy, or creative freedom, and why. What is an antagonist in a story? What do you think are the essential characteristics of a strong antagonist? Elaborate your views with the help of an example. The three basic types of conflicts found in fiction stories are man against man, man against nature, man against self. Explain what you understand by this classification. What do you think the following quote conveys? No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. No surprises in the writer, no surprises in the reader. Which, according to you, is the most famous film released in recent years ever? Comment on the following statement. There is no terror in the band, only in the anticipation I have heard. Hitchcock. So by Atharva,
यस सर। सर यहाँ पर थोड़ा क्रोनोलॉजी में चेंज हो गया है पीडीएफ में, तो मैं स्टेट कर दूंगा कौन सा आंसर है।
क्या चेंज हो गया?
मैंने पहले 4 क्वेश्चंस का आंसर लिखा है पर क्रोनोलॉजी डिफरेंट है इसमें, तो ये थर्ड वन का है। 3 टाइप्स
Oh,
ऑफ
अच्छा.
बेसिस।
Okay, no problem.
हाँ,
शुरू
so
करो.
third 3 basic types of conflicts. Conflict in a film can simply be explained as the battle between protagonist and antagonist uh, happened over a set of goals they desire to achieve. A, man versus man. Man versus man is a common type of conflict which happens in a film. It is described as two human beings clash with each other. Protagonist versus antagonist. One's task is achieving any certain accomplishment, and other is to stop him from achieving it at any cost. Example, Thakur versus Gabbarim Sole. B, man versus nature.
एक मिनट. Explain what you understand. नहीं. Examples के बारे में क्या दिया था? कहाँ दिया था?
कौन सा?
अच्छा, इसमें example. Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
B. Man versus nature. Man against nature is a conflict where the nature generally punishes the humankind for the atrocities caused due to their greed or on the environment or nature. Generally, this type of conflicts end with nature's extreme step on human causes them to undo or their wrongdoing over nature. Example, 2012, 2018 Malayalam film, Interstellar.
2012 क्या है?
वो भी एक फिल्म है सर.
अच्छा. Okay.
C. Man versus self. These conflicts are generally termed as internal conflicts as the protagonist fights with his internal flaws, which are stopping him from having his ideal life. Example, तमाशा. सर ये आंसर मेरा इतना ही था. मैं यहाँ पर एग्जाम्पल्स को एक्सप्लेन करना रह गया मेरे से. लास्ट में लिखा था ये, तो
अच्छा.
ये आंसर यहाँ ही खत्म होता है.
Okay.
छोटा हो गया है सर, वो एक्सप्लेन करना रह गया है.
ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, आगे बढ़ो.
तो
So
ये अभी
antagonist.
ये सेकंड क्वेश्चन है.
अच्छा, सेकंड क्वेश्चन.
हाँ,
ओ,
मैंने सेपरेट मतलब भेजे थे वो वर्ड फाइल्स, इसलिए वो हो गया शायद.
ओके, एक सेकंड. Conflict in a film can be explained as battle between protagonist and antagonist happen over a set of goals they desire to achieve. Okay. The three basic types of conflicts one are the explain what and the Islam. तो उसमें पूछा है कि भाई तीन तरह के जो बेसिक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स है स्टोरीज, दे आर मैन वर्सेस मैन, मैन वर्सेस नेचर एंड मैन वर्सेस सेल्फ, है ना. उनको क्या समझ में आता है? मैं कॉन्फ्लिक्ट भी डिफाइन कर दिया. ठीक है. Man versus man is the most common type of conflict which happens on a film. Describes to clash with the protagonist versus antagonist. One's task is achieving any certain accomplishment and others is to stop him from achieving it at any cost. यार सर सीरियसली अपना स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक्स वगैरह ना इतना भी ज्यादा मत गड़बड़ कर यार. मेरे को मतलब मीनिंग ही चेंज है. प्लीज थोड़ा सा रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ यार, मतलब व्हेन यू सबमिट योर आंसर इवन इन एफटीआई, जस्ट स्पेयर सम टाइम एंड गो थ्रू दैट. हम का 3-4 नंबर ओवरऑल में अगर कम हो गए इसी चक्कर में कि भैया तूने कंफ्यूज कर दिया किसी की तरफ, कैश हो गया, और वंस अपॉस्ट्रोफी होना चाहिए. तो ये सब चीज तो बहुत बेसिक है यार, तो लिखते लिखते होना चाहिए. ये हाउ कैन यू.
यस सर.
अभी तूने यहाँ पे बोला प्रोटैगनिस्ट वर्सेस एंटागनिस्ट. अभी प्रोटैगनिस्ट कौन है, एंटागनिस्ट कौन है, ये थोड़ा सा एक लाइन में एक्सप्लेन करना चाहिए. प्रोटैगनिस्ट कौन होता है, एंटागनिस्ट वो एक का टास्क है अचीव करना कुछ, एक का टास्क उसको अड़ंगा डालना, अचीव नहीं करने देना.
हाँ.
प्रोटैगनिस्ट कौन, वो है जिसको अचीव करना. एंटागनिस्ट कौन, जो उसके अगेंस्ट आता है, आड़े आता है
यस
ना.
सर. हाँ यस सर.
तो तूने कहा ठाकुर वर्सेस गब्बर, शोले. ठीक है. तूने
यस सर.
सत्या देखा है? सत्या.
हाँ देखा है.
तो सत्या में, अब मेरे को तू बता पहले, सत्या में भीकू मात्रे है ना,
हाँ.
या जो भी बाकी जो गैंग लीडर्स हैं, और पुलिस वाले भी हैं,
यस सर.
ये गैंग्स ऑफ वासेपुर, है ना.
यस सर.
तो इसमें प्रोटैगनिस्ट कौन है, एंटागनिस्ट कौन है?
सर प्रोटैगनिस्ट वो है जिसके गोल्स या फिर डिजायर्स हम फॉलो करते हैं. मतलब सत्या के डिजायर्स और वांट्स हम फॉलो करते हैं, इसलिए वो प्रोटैगनिस्ट है. और सेम गोज टू दैट गैंग्स ऑफ वासेपुर.
करेक्ट. सो बेसिकली it doesn't matter if the protagonist is a good guy or a bad guy. If we are following him, if
Yes.
the film is based on his jeevani, and if the film is telling the story of his achievements in whatever sense, then he becomes the protagonist. And the police wala is actually good guy. He's doing good service, for the society. But he is the antagonist because in this case, we are following Satya. We are following the villain. Villain is our so protagonist and antagonist का एक लाइन में definition होना चाहिए था. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
किसके नजरिए किसके पर्सपेक्टिव से फिल्म हम देख रहे हैं, किसकी लाइफ फिल्म देख रहे हैं, किसके नजर से.
Sir.
Okay, Man versus Nature ठीक है, ये कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं. 2018 और 2012 भी दोनों ही मुझे नहीं पता क्या बात कर रहा है. इंटरस्टेलर ठीक है. इंटरस्टेलर इज एक्चुअली नॉट मैन वर्सेस
Sir, वो
नेचर.
time naturally
ठीक है, in a way you can say that. But let's say any other example of man versus nature, anybody else? A very prominent example, like in the face, for example.
Castaway.
Castaway, yes. Correct. So, look for examples which are very, very clear. There's no, nobody should be able to feel, "Arey, ये example पता नहीं सही है." थोड़ा Interstellar मेरे को लगा कि maybe it is not really. ठीक है. And then man versus self. These conflicts are generally termed as internal conflict, as the protagonist fights with the internal cause, which is stopping him from having him his ideal love. An example you said is Tamasha. Tamasha is the Tamasha.
Imtiaz Ali is Ranbir Kapoor star.
Oh, अच्छा. ठीक है. ये तो लोगों वाले क्वेश्चन क्या ही गलती है, इतने सारे क्वेश्चन मार्केट में, इतने सारे सेगमेंट्स हैं. Let's jump on to the next one.
सर आपकी आवाज बहुत धीरे से आ रही है.
Next one.
Second answer, sir.
Go
What
for
is
the next one. Antagonist.
Yes. Antagonist. The term antagonist with respect to film is referred as anything like a man, a natural force, or an ideology which opposes the protagonist from achieving his goals or desire or wants. Following are the essential characteristics of an antagonist. Antagonist generally shares the same goal as the protagonist, but their means of achieving it are not always ethical. An antagonist always tries to push back the protagonist by creating new hurdles in the path of achieving the goals. Antagonist has no ethical limitations as they can go to any extreme of exploiting humanity to achieve their desired result. Perfect example of perfect antagonist is Gabbar from the classical Bollywood film Sholay. Gabbar is a cold-hearted evil dacoit who lives with a clan who he rules with the power of his terror. Power of terror he has created. He has a similar resonating goal to that of the protagonist of the film, as Jay and Viru eventually want to serve justice to the village and people living in it. On the other hand, Gabbar wants to exploit and loot the village, keeping the people as slaves of his terror. Though the goals sound exactly opposite to each other, they are deep down similar as the antagonist and protagonist have desires related to the village and the people. Gabbar matches other characteristics also, as he has no ethical ideology or humanity, as he murders poor villagers just for some money or some free gains and to simply establish his terror. सर हो गया ये.
अरे तो ये क्या है यहाँ पे अगला
ये
क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ अगला क्वेश्चन.
तो उसमें 1 2 3 ऐसा करके दिया नहीं है तुमने.
सर वो मैंने सेपरेट ये भेजे थे वर्ड
तो यार
फाइल्स.
तुमको but ऐसे भी even you are doing that separately, mention the answer, the question that you are attempting. It's very confusing which antagonist you're talking about. Like, I'll have to go back. अच्छा, number 2 is the answer. Is the answer to number 2 question. तो ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए. What is an antagonist in a story? Question mark. यहाँ से शुरू होना चाहिए answer. What is an antagonist in a story? Question mark. Antagonist with the spectrums referred to as man or national force. अब ये जो भी तूने एंटागनिस्ट का डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है, इसमें वही एक बहुत बड़ा फ्लॉ है इस डिस्क्रिप्शन में. लाइक आई सेड कि let's assume a film like Satya. You know, Satya is a film where the policemen are not unethical. तूने यहाँ मेंशन किया है कि antagonist has no ethical limitations.
Yes, sir.
But that need not necessarily be true all the time.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is mostly the case, but not always. What if a film like Satya comes across, and then you are asked to, define the antagonist? The antagonists are the policemen who are actually doing very ethical, very morally correct job. They are trying to stop the goons. But since they are not the pivot of the story, since the story do not resolve around policemen or the antagonists, the good people, the film resolves around the bad people. Hence, they become the antagonists this time. So, in that case, our protagonists may not have ethical limitations. But the audience is glued on the film because they understand the goons, the bad people. जिसके ऊपर फिल्म बन रही है. They understand their world. They are seeing things from their point of view, and which is when this switch happens. In that case, this point becomes invalid. You getting point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. Explain.
No
And no
tears.
surprise.
No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader, no surprise in the writer, no surprise in the reader. This quote is true for every story, novel, film, series, any piece of writing, as the upper looks of it state the necessity of sincere writer for any kind of writing work. But deep down, this quote explores many aspects like emotions and their importance of conveying them to reader. The first half and second half of the statement is has the similar meaning, as it tries to state that if a writer himself doesn't or can't receive what he wants to deliver, then it's 100% inevitable that the reader will not get what the writer wants to say. The statement suggests the writer to write from the depth of his heart, as heart has the ability to receive the emotion at their purest form. The writer has tears in his eyes, sorrows. If the writer has tears in his eyes, sorrow in his heart while writing his piece, it is for sure that the reader will receive the same impact. This goes true to the latter part of the quote about surprise. The easiest way for any writer to convey surprise is by adapting or portraying the ways he has received in. If the writer writes a story with his core emotion, then it is impossible to any reader to not to receive it. For example, Munshi Premchand's stories always feel melancholic yet realistic and very true to human emotions, as they are generally filled with social atrocities, tales of poverty, challenging or exploring the extreme rituals of society operations back then. They all have the emotion that they all have the emotion what the reader receives. This happens because majority of his of these tales Munshiji has written were either a part of his personal experience or came from the things which he observed around his surrounding. This is a famous photograph. There is a famous photograph of him with his wife in which he is wearing torn shoe, torn cap, and non-iron clothes, and his wife is also wearing old and washed out sari. This shows how his life has had been, as in times like those, taking photograph was considered as a sheer reason of getting ready and wearing new clothes.
ये लास्ट पैराग्राफ को समझ में नहीं आया.
सर मतलब उनकी सिचुएशन डिस्क्राइब करता है और क्यों उनके स्टोरीज मतलब
ये
रिलेटेबल.
क्या बात हुआ? तू कहना चाह रहा कि जो आदमी गरीब है वही अच्छी स्टोरी लिखता है?
नहीं,
क्या
नहीं.
ये कहना?
सर वो बहुत फेमस फोटोग्राफ है उनकी और वो डिस्क्रिप्शन भी मतलब.
वो तो ठीक है, अंडरस्टैंड, बट व्हाट इज द रेलेवेंस ऑफ दैट दिस इंफॉर्मेशन?
सर वो फोटोग्राफ का नीचे एक स्टेटमेंट होता है हर टाइम कि वो फोटोग्राफ एक्सप्लेन करता है उनके राइटिंग को, ऐसा वो मतलब ईस्टर एग है उस फोटोग्राफ का. बहुत सारे बुक्स के पीछे होता है वो फोटोग्राफ और वो एक्सप्लेनेशन होता है.
ओके. हाँ, बट उससे if we are trying to deduce that if that photograph or that when such people can make one write wonderful story, it's totally absolutely wrong. ऐसा कुछ. You have to just you just have to be a human being to write this story.
हाँ सर, मैं सोच रहा था कि वो लिखूं कि नहीं लिखूं.
You just have to have some empathy. That's it. Okay, ठीक है, अच्छा है. ये मेरे को एक और लाइन समझ नहीं आता. Easiest way for any writer to convey surprise is by adapting or portraying the way he has received it. What does that mean?
मतलब उसके पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंसेस से लिखना चाहिए वो मीनिंग. पर्सनली सरप्राइजेस उसको जिस जिस तरह से रिसीव हुआ है.
Okay. नहीं, what exactly यहाँ पे थोड़ा mistake कर गया. But the question what it means actually. When they are writing, okay, I've already written 3 feature films. In fact, 2 complete feature films. I'm writing a film, so I understand this what he intends the question. Examiner. He is expecting. So when we are writing, we tend to get stuck with our characters very often. एक ऐसा सिचुएशन आ गया है कि डेड एंड आ गया और कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा कि अब वो कैरेक्टर क्या करेगा. So the idea is not to have something in mind before you hit the dead end. Like you get to know that I'm hitting a dead end and I have to find a way out. And don't do that. Let the dead end, let the character reach the dead end, and then possibly let the character explore the possible ways out. So you become the character and you start exploring the possible ways out. Similarly, when there are moments when you're writing and suddenly something happens with the character, and even minutes before writing the scenes, you were not aware this is going to happen, and it comes across as a surprise for the character. It is more like you yourself as a writer did not know this is going to. This is the scene that I'm about to write, and it surprises you as much. So a surprise for you while writing, when you're exploring things and you suddenly come across something which actually surprises you, as a writer, that is communicated, or that creeps into the character's journey, character's life. The character is equally surprised, and which eventually gets across and comes to the audience. The audience, hence, is also equally surprised. So कभी कभी होता है वो फिल्म देखते समझ में आता है कि क्या होने वाला है ना? होता है कि नहीं होता है? हेलो.
यस सर होता है. हेलो.
वो हाँ, वो क्यों होता है पता है? वो इसलिए होता है क्योंकि राइटर को भी पता है कि वो क्या करने वाला है इसके बाद. जब राइटर लिख रहा होता है तो उसको पता होता है कि मैं इसको ऐसे कर दूंगा, ऐसे कर दूंगा, फिर इसके ऐसे कर दूंगा, ऐसे कर दूंगा, फिर ऐसे हो जाएगा. जब राइटर लिखने बैठा है उसको भी वो अपने आप को पता कर लेता है कि हम ऐसे ऐसे करके यहाँ पे एक्ट 3 तक पहुंचाऊंगा. और जहां उसको पता चल गया तो समझ लो कि ऑडियंस मेंबर्स को भी पता चल जाएगा. मोस्ट ऑफ द ऑडियंस मेंबर्स, लॉट ऑफ द इंटेलिजेंट ऑडियंस मेंबर्स, दे विल गेट ये अभी क्या होने वाला है. समझ रहे हो? only when the writer himself do not know कि अभी कैसे act 3 में जाएगा मेरा film. It's only then that the characters and hence the readers or the audience do not know. अगर राइटर को पता है कि मैं क्या क्या करने वाला हूँ तो कहीं ना कहीं उसके जर्न उसके लिखने में वो आ जाता है कि क्या होने वाला है इसके बाद एंड वो बहुत प्रिटेंशियस बन जाता है तो पता रहता है कि शायद इसके बाद ये होगा इसके बाद ये होगा इसके बाद ये सो दैट इज व्हाट हीज द स्टेटमेंट काइंड ऑफ सजेस्ट यू नो ओके आगे बढ़ते हैं आगे बढ़े
Yes, sir. Hello.
तो ये किसका तुम्हारा ही है
Period film. Using a
sorry.
period film example, elaborate what you think is has more impact in work of fiction. Historical accuracy or creative freedom. State why. For me, in a period film, the balance of historical accuracy and creative freedom is important. This is when I think the history can be shown with utmost purity on the screen. Balance. What I mean by balance is that in a period film, rather than altering facts or adding unwanted elements to the film, director should focus on staying true to the history, as the history of any period film could be part of emotional attachment of the masses. And for the creative freedom point, a director should try and work on improving the presentations by adding some catalysts which not only add to the emotion to the film but also is accepted by the masses without hurting the sentiments. For example, Tanaji movie by director Om Raut is very good example of this balance. Tanaji is a story of a Maratha Subedar from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's army who sacrificed his life for the idea and establishment of Swaraj. He fought a great fort conquering battle against Mughal Sardar Udayban. Tanaji movie shows the history without any changes in its course of facts and also amplified the emotion by adding creative sequences like the wandering of Subedar Tanaji Malusare in the outskirts of the Fort Sinhagad in search of information which could help him analyze and prepare for the battle. Wandering, he meets a fictional character, which is a creative liberty, played by Sanjay Mishra, of an old man who tells Subedar about a secret entrance of the fort which has been blocked for years. This simple scene gave the makers freedom to create a fake loss scenario at the interval point as Tanaji Malusare fakes to be caught by Mughal soldiers in order to enter the fort and give himself time to try and find the secret pathway of the fort. This all collectively made up the emotional impact of the climax better as Tanaji loses his life but conquers the fort.
Oh. Okay, again, I'm so sorry I haven't seen this film, so but I got your point actually. And about the answer, you say for me, in a period film, the balance of historical accuracy and creativity is important. This when I think the history can be shown with utmost purity and purity of the screen balance. What I mean by balance is that in a period film, rather than altering facts or adding unwanted staying to history as history of India and could be emotional attachment. अच्छा लिखा यार without hurting that. अरे ये थोड़ा repetitive है but ये जो है थोड़ा सा as if you're repeating yourself. But okay, just give me a second. Let me just think about it. I've never thought about this question honestly. So in a period film, okay, a historical film. A period film need not necessarily be a historical film. Period film मतलब कि
That is mentioned in the question about history.
which is fine. कुछ नहीं exactly क्या है. Okay, fine. So, but period film, even 2000, कोई film जिसमें year 1999 दिखाया जा रहा है या 2004 दिखाया जा रहा है वो भी period film. है ना? You getting the point? Hello?
हेलो
हाँ, तो उसको तुम इक्वेट नहीं कर सकता कि पीरियड फिल्म इज हिस्टोरिकल फिल्म. So what if, like, I have written one period film, no? Although it is also a historical film, but let's say कि what if my period film was absolutely pure fiction? तो उसमें क्या historical accuracy, उसमें क्या फिर balance? उसमें तो मेरी जो मर्जी मैं वो create करूँ. It's just that I'm in love as a writer, or a filmmaker, as a director. I'm in love with that period. I'm in love with the culture of that period. I'm in love with some people of that period. You know? So I want to communicate uh, that story, the story of those people coming from that period. Now, how is it, if at all, how does it make it a historical? It doesn't. Historical. So I am not too sure if I will agree totally with your point here.
सर
What the
आई
question, what the question has asked is, uh, he elaborate how much of the historical accuracy is needed. है ना? Using period film as an example, elaborate on what you think is more important in a work of fiction: historical accuracy or creative freedom, and why. So you have to point out. He said, with due respect, period film का मतलब historical film होना जरूरी नहीं है. ठीक है, हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट होता है जो कि बहुत कोई आइकॉनिक मोमेंट इवेंट रहा है हिस्ट्री का एक बार, जिस पे फिल्म बन सकती है. बट व्हाट इफ आई एम जस्ट प्लेनली आई हैव रिटन समथिंग अबाउट माय फादर और माय मदर एंड देयर लव स्टोरी फ्रॉम 70s. तो उसमें क्या हिस्ट्री और क्या जस्ट अबाउट टू कैरेक्टर्स बिलोंगिंग टू दैट एरा, दैट स्पेस, एंड दैट्स इट. उसमें तो आई विल प्ले अराउंड with the characters, with the space, with the props, with everything, with their belief systems. I'll have all the creative freedom. So only when I'm touching upon an element like, for example, the freedom struggle or the partition of India, or for that matter, or for that matter, the Bengal riots, or for that matter, any particular historical event, their historical accuracy becomes important. And historical, possibly you should not try and alter the established historical facts. So ऐसे वो answer so mentioned, somewhere made this distinction. Not all period films necessarily mean a historical.
Yes, yes. I should have
समझ
mentioned.
समझ में आया बात मेरा?
हाँ सर समझ में आया.
ठीक है, तो अभी एक और बचा है तुम्हारा.
हाँ नहीं सर हो गया.
हो गया. ठीक है, कोई सवाल है तो बता.
नहीं सर कोई ऐसा. नो सर नो क्वेश्चन.
ठीक है, चलो ऋषभ.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm audible.
Yes.
Sorry, sir, I couldn't attend the class yesterday. I caught some temperature. बहुत बारिश हो रही थी, यहाँ भीग गया था काम से आते आते.
क्या नहीं लिखा?
कल I couldn't attend the class yesterday.
Oh,
I
sure.
had
Okay.
an entire day shoot and then
Okay.
I got like भीग गया, बहुत
No
बारिश हो रही थी.
No worries. So I think you can ask for the recording from sir.
Yes, sir.
The recording.
Yes.
ठीक है, चला जाओ.
Okay. I'll read the question, then followed by the answer. Should I, or should I just start away with the answer?
What is the answer? Historical
Yeah,
accuracy?
it's using a period film
Yeah.
as an example.
चलो answer first.
I believe both historical accuracy and creative freedom are important for a work of fiction to work for the audience. Gladiator 2000, directed by Ridley Scott, is a prime example. Gladiator is a period film about the Roman Empire. It follows a betrayed general, Maximus, who's seeking revenge against the corrupt emperor Commodus, also to avenge the killings of his family. The role of history accuracy. The film aims to educate the audience about the cultural events, figures, and some real events. The elements such as the grandeur of the Colosseum, Roman military tactics, and politics are highly accurate to the history. These things lend credibility to the narrative. The film serves history beautifully. It immerses the audience into the world of ancient Rome while showing how power corrupted the emperors, how Roman politics worked. Importance of creative freedom. The character of Maximus is completely fiction. The film compresses many non-related events into one timeline to educate about workings about the Roman Empire while building a strong narrative. The film does that to explore the universal themes such as of loyalty, corruption, power, righteousness, and vengeance. One needs creative freedom to imagine, which ends up breaking the rules of history one seeks aboard in fiction to nourish the storytelling. History doesn't take sides, it's not biased, whereas fiction is biased. A narrative can go to any lengths to prove someone right. The right thing to do is maintain a balance, serving the film with accurate history, historical setting, mood, events, and enriching it with beautiful narrative. Doing so, the film inspires, endures, and builds a solid foundation.
Okay. No, I have only one problem. These are the three grades of problem. Come to that. History doesn't take sides, it's not biased. There's fiction in bias, narrative can put in something or someone right. The right thing to do is maintain balance. Serving the exactly this way. Okay. भाई एक बात हमें समझना हो कि why do we tell stories for that matter, or whose stories do we tell, you know, or whose, and this is uh, of like for since time immemorial किसकी कहानी हम लोग बोलते हैं
विक्टर्स की सर जो जीतते हैं.
करेक्ट विक्टर्स की या ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स की जो इंस्पायर करेगी मैं
Yes.
है ना तो when you talking about that in the context of a historical film, we will definitely pick and choose characters who have historically been victors, है ना?
Yes, sir.
So
What
this-
I mean, yeah, so sorry.
नहीं, बोल क्या कह रहा है?
I was like wanting to point out this fact that कि history like दोनों parties लिखती हैं. The one who loses, they also end up writing it, and often those literature come across. तो हमें पता चलता है दोनों side की story, more or less.
हाँ, but हम फिल्म
But जब film की जब हम story सुनाते
देख दो अलग चीजें, दो अलग
Yes, sir.
इतिहास की किताबें अगर पढ़ोगे तो तुमको दोनों पक्ष का दिखेगा,
Yes, sir.
पर तुम जब स्टोरी सुनाओगे तो तुम स्टोरी तो
मैंने यही
उसकी
लिखा है,
सुनाओगे,
fiction biased होता है कि history is not
बायस्ड होता है, ये मेरे को समझ, फिक्शन बायस्ड
सर
होता है
बायस्ड होता है क्योंकि फिक्शन में तो एक किसी की कहानी चल रही है तो उसी के लिए
हाँ,
कहानी चल रही होगी, राइट? हम
बट
दूसरे
तो
साइड की वाहवाही
पर तो
नहीं करेंगे.
पर मेरे भाई भी तो कह रहा हूँ कि प्रेमाइस ही वो है, तुम किसी ऐसे बंदे की कहानी क्यों सुनाओगे जो कि इररिलेवेंट है ना, until he has something really important to teach the society. Why
Yes, sir.
why will I make a story on some XYZ
हाँ
in
नहीं
70s
I
without
absolutely agree with you and that is what I'm trying to write only कि fiction is biased,
अरे
storytelling
तभी
is
तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि फिक्शन बायस, हाँ अच्छा ओके आई गेट, ओके फैन, सो यू मीन टू से कि फिक्शन का मतलब ये है भाई कि
biased
जीतने
है,
वाले की कहानी,
जीतने के वाले की कहानी है,
हारने वाली की कहानी नहीं,
नहीं हारने वाले की नहीं.
हाँ fair enough. हाँ करेक्ट, सही है, हम दोनों एक ही बातें कर रहे हैं,
यस सर हम एक ही बात कर रहे हैं, आपको ही कह रहा था.
करेक्ट करेक्ट, ठीक है. And when you say history doesn't take sides, what you essentially mean is कि, the history books,
Yeah.
so to say, or
Yes,
the
sir.
facts. The facts
Yes.
remain facts.
Yes, the facts
So,
remain.
that doesn't take any side. Okay. ठीक है, question to क्या है?
I could have like wrote it better, I think, than probably वो paragraph को.
नहीं, I think, see, this is a classical example. This question is a classical example where, you write anything and you will most likely be correct because these are broken questions.
Hmm.
मतलब you have to write 500 marks each, 5 marks each, okay, and maximum 400 words. 400 words तो कुछ नहीं है.
Hmm.
400 words में तो आधे पन्ने का आंसर, उससे भी कम शायद या around that. तो कहने का मतलब है कि तुम इतने कम वर्ड्स में तुम बहुत इजीली किसी चीज को इन इन अ ब्रॉडर वे कन्वे कर सकते
Yes, sir.
हो. इसमें तुमको कोई कैसे क्या है. अब फॉर एग्जांपल एंटागनिस्ट क्या होता है. अब एंटागनिस्ट क्या होता है, वो एंटागनिस्ट को एक्सप्लेन करने में ही तेरे 100-150 वर्ड्स चल जाए. एक
Yes, sir.
एग्जांपल दोगे फिल्म से, उसमें
Yes.
100-150 वर्ड्स चल जाएंगे, 300 वर्ड्स ऐसे ही होगा. मतलब
Hmm.
और वो भी कह रहा है मैक्सिमम ऑफ वन. तो इतने में तो हो गया. और फिर उसमें क्या ही गलत है, क्या सही है, मतलब हाउ एनीबडी count
Yes.
it. So these are those questions where either you get almost all full marks or you get absolutely zero. That you
Hmm.
misread the question, or for that matter, you
Hmm.
answered the question wrongly,
Hmm.
incorrectly.
Yes, sir.
है ना.
मेरा
या तो सब
था सर कि मैंने शायद कम्युनिकेट गलत कर दिया कि मतलब क्योंकि मेरा ये था कि आई शुड हैव रोट दैट लास्ट पैराग्राफ बेटर कि वो और क्लियरली आ जाता.
हाँ, मतलब वही वाली बात है कि इतना इतना घुमा फिरा के एक सिंपल से एक्सप्रेशन को इतना घुमा करके लिखने का कोई पॉइंट
Hmm.
नहीं. वही मैं पहले दिन से बोलता हूँ भाई कि यहाँ पे इजीएस्ट एंड फास्टेस्ट एंड सिंपलेस्ट वे ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन जो है ना वो वर्क करेगा देन
Yes.
एनीथिंग एल्स.
Yes.
सो just figure out your writing style and bring it closer to the easiest, fastest, and what was the third thing I said?
Hmm.
And the simplest.
Yes.
Easiest, fastest, simplest way of communicating your idea, your thought. That will work. Because that is what is needed.
Yes.
What they're marking you on your understanding, your deeper understanding, your worldview, or for that matter, your ideas, your content. What what you what is the idea, or what is the creative element that you're trying to write using simplest of the languages. The creative element जो है ना वो important. तुम कितने क्रिएटिव हो, तुम कितने इमेजिनेटिव हो, वो मैटर करता है. ना कि तुम कुछ तो एक इमेजिनेशन का एक थ्रेड पकड़ लिए, कुछ तो रैंडम सा और कुछ भी टेढ़ा मेढ़ा इंग्लिश में या टेढ़ा मेढ़ा करके कुछ को सुना दिया और ही विल नेवर बी इम्प्रेस्ड.
Yes, sir.
वो मैटर करता है. चलो फिर आगे बढ़ते हैं.
I'll read the question.
नहीं, जरूरत नहीं. कैरी ऑन.
Okay. An antagonist is a character, entity, a group, or a force that stands against the protagonist, creating obstacles and driving the central conflict. The antagonist is often confused to be a villain in the story, but they happen to be someone who have motivations and opinions which go against or clash with that of the protagonist.
करेक्ट, यही मैं कह रहा था. अथर्व ने जो लिखा था उसमें थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ कर दिया. एज इफ all antagonists are villains. At times, the heroes are antagonists. Real life heroes are societal heroes are antagonists. Societal villains are protagonists. It just depends कि film किसके point of view से दिखाया जा रहा है. ठीक है, correct. So आगे बढ़ो.
Essential characteristics of a strong antagonist. Clear motivation. They have strong, specific, clear, and credible desires, motivations which make them understandable. Complexity. They aren't two-dimensional. They are enriched with visible strengths and flaws, making them relatable. Active opposition. They aren't just passive reactive characters. They are very much active. They actively work against the protagonist. Believability. Their actions make sense in the story world, and they often see themselves as a hero very clearly. Their actions are justified by what they stand for. Moral ambiguity. They believe in their cause so much so as if that's the reason they live, exist, or even breathe. Prime example, Joker in The Dark Knight. Joker is by far a very strong antagonist. He has clarity, purpose, and motivations to go against Batman, the protagonist. He's an active character, unpredictable, unique strengths, highly flawed. His motivations and reasons are so strongly put, which even sends the side characters and audience into moral dilemma. What makes him the most memorable antagonist is that he doesn't see himself as a villain, rather, the person who has the moral obligation to show the world the uncomfortable truths. While being a complex character, he doesn't deviate from his worldview, and that both Batman and Joker stand for justice, they share strengths and flaws too. These are just two characters divided by a fine line of sanity.
Okay, nice. ठीक है, अच्छा है, आगे बढ़ते हैं।
Yes. The three basic type of conflicts found in fiction stories. Conflict is the driving force that forces a narrative to grow, move forward, and shape the character's journey and their ultimate development. These three basic classification help us understand the kind of struggles and motivations of the character, primarily the protagonist. It also helps the audience to build some idea about the journey the character is about to begin.
एक second, just pause.
Yes, sir.
I just lost the thread of it. After the title, but forcing them to move forward to shape the character journey and their ultimate development. These three basic classifications help us understand, the upcoming three classifications help us understand kind of study and motivation of the character, primarily the practice. Help the audience with some idea about the character is important. Okay, fair enough. The logic.
Man against man. This type of conflict often involves the protagonist facing opposition from the antagonist, usually a character or a group. It is the most direct and external kind of conflict, often taking the shape of hero versus villain, rivalries, or interpersonal disputes. The tensions arises from the clash of desires, morals, goals, and values. Harry Potter films is a clear example of man versus man, the fight between Lord Voldemort and Harry Potter, and how they both directly affect each other. Man against nature. Here, the protagonist forces himself to overcome the challenges opposed by the nature or the environment around him. The conflict is external, but not a person, but rather nature itself, such as storms, geographical challenges, animals, diseases, disasters. For example, Life of Pi. Pi must survive against the Pacific Ocean, battling hunger, storms, and a Bengal tiger. Man against self. This is an internal conflict the protagonist has against self insecurities, their beliefs, fears, and doubts. The struggle is psychological or emotional, revolving around guilt, choices, personal growth, and identity. For example, the film The Black Swan is about Nina battling her own insecurities, perfectionism, and psychology breakdown in search of greatness or artistic excellence. A good film often involves a conjunction of all three or two conflicts in them, but with a clear distinction of what's primary, secondary, and tertiary, which keeps the narrative smooth and engaging for the audience. We can see that all the above mentioned examples have the conjunction of said conflicts with a clear distinction. For example, Harry Potter, although primarily is a man against man conflict, but he also battles self doubts, his identity, while also fighting against the kind of nature and environment the story has.
just say, कुछ है just हाँ, मतलब I'm also trying to figure out when you say that a good film often involves as a connection or conflicts in them. But with a clear distinction of what's primary, so okay, that's actually a very good answer, where you are trying to suggest that a film may not need necessarily just be a man versus man, man versus nature, man. So in fact, man versus man or man versus nature, in in either of the cases, there comes a moment where the protagonist fights himself, every time in every single story. He has to fight himself. So how the journey so goes, for the protagonist, that when at the start of the film, at the start of the story, he is very weak. He is just another ordinary man like so many others. And he has nothing special in him except for a flair somewhere, or just a hint of, or a suggestion that he may be the problem solver, one of those who solves problems. Except for that, he doesn't have any supernatural power, any kind of power, in fact. Or even if he has, he is not aware of the fact that that he is problem. And then the film begins, and then in the story, the antagonist is introduced, in some time, only for the protagonist to realize, there is a problem in the world, in my world. When I say in his world, it could be a very small society where he lives in, or it could be the country, as a society, or it may even be the world, the whole of the earth, maybe, in cases of man versus nature, for that matter. But in that journey, again, so he starts from being very, very weak, and he eventually has to become almighty and all powerful, and he has to defeat the antagonist somewhere, right, in the story, and win the battle, okay, or rather win the war. So, in the journey of him becoming from nothing to almighty, that journey, there come several moments where he's questioning himself, where he has to question himself, because he is weak, because he has lived his life in a certain way, because his belief system has been in a certain way, or nurtured him in a certain way, that he cannot really, become. He has to first fight himself to overcome that doubt, or self doubt, or that hiccup that he has in him as a personality, and only then that he will achieve that super extra power that will help him beat the antagonist. मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? By any chance, कुछ confusion? Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yes, sir. You're making sense.
All of you? Okay. Oh, fair enough. So that's his journey. So be it man versus man or man versus nature, in either of the first two instances, he also faces, necessarily, he does face the man versus self wala conflict. So you can say that man versus self is always there. It's always omnipresent. In all the stories, you will come across at least one moment or several such moments where the hero, the protagonist, has to fight himself. Some inner battle. Either he is all strong. He has become strong, but he doesn't have the answers to certain things, and for which he has to maybe bow down to something to achieve that answer, to get that answer, which will make him actually all powerful finally, defeat, or or the fact that he has been all lazy in life, and now he has to get up and fight the nature. So he has to really struggle hard to make himself strong. That struggle of making himself all strong is also a conflict between himself, that between he and himself, inner self, or his past self. He has to change himself, and the protagonist changes. If he doesn't change, if he continues to live the way he has always lived, he will never win over the antagonist. He has to change himself. And that itself is a fight that he has to fight within himself. So ये तो एक बोलने का तरीका है, but ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो तो मजा आ जाएगा. बट ठीक, अच्छा है. आगे बढ़े.
Yes, sir.
कोई सवाल है? अच्छा तुम्हारे ही तो
Yes, sir. मेरा ही है.
ओके
What do you think of the following quote conveys? No tear in the writer, no tears in the reader, no surprises in the writer, no surprises in the reader. This quote suggests that the genuine emotion and authentic creativity must be felt by the writer for the reader to feel it. No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader means if the writer doesn't feel joy, sorrow, fear, and loss, the reader won't feel them, and those emotions will never get translated to the reader. These emotions often lead one to tears, and if the writer doesn't feel vulnerable and personally connected, the reader won't find it authentic. When a writer is moved by their own work, that sincerity and depth often gets transmitted to the reader as well, making the story more relatable and impactful. No surprises in the writer, no surprises in the reader. This highlights the importance of spontaneity and discovery in the creative process. It's often said a story wants to be told, such as a film wants to be made. If the writer restricts himself from feeling vulnerable and stops the flow of writing, his own writing will never excite him, making things dull and bleak and too predictable. The best stories often evolve organically, where the writer is surprised by the twists and turns, resulting in the moments which feel fresh, ergo surprising the reader. In essence, the quote wants to communicate that writing is not just a technical process, but also a highly intuitive one, with its own emotions and imagination. The depth of feeling and the sense of discovery felt by the writer becomes a bridge for the reader to feel them too, making the story engaging, relatable, and surprising.
एक मिनट किस चीज में no time to write no time. This highlights the importance of spontaneity and discovery in the field of storytelling. A story wants to be told. If the writer restricts himself from feeling vulnerable and stops the flow of writing, his own writing will be exciting. If the writer restricts himself from feeling vulnerable. Okay. अगेन तू ना फिर वही बहुत सिंपल जिसको बहुत ना उसे वहां से तुरंत क्या करती है too hard to assess. If a writer restricts himself from feeling vulnerable, ठीक है, and stops the flow of writing, even writing will never excite him, making things dull and bleak and stupid. So basically, पहली बात तो ये कि why will a writer restrict himself from feeling vulnerable? मतलब ये तो given है कि if the writer
So,
doesn't want
because it's written right, if no surprises in the writer. So, if the writer is not getting surprised and it's trying to stop himself from being vulnerable.
हाँ, it's a bad writing. He's a bad writer. Oh yeah, you're right. So in a way, it will never turn out to be a good film because it will never be. It will पहली बात it will never be anything original.
If the writer is not surprised, I mean, I was to be honest, sir, मैं इसको बहुत छोट सौ मतलब I could have finished it in 50 words, but then I was like कि how to really beat around the bush because
But why should you beat around?
because sir, there is really not much to explain about it, right? I mean,
अरे भाई बात तो सही है. सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन है, सिंपल सा आंसर होना चाहिए उसका. अब just because you have to write something, to make it sound something, that doesn't work. उसमें बोला मैक्सिमम फोन, मिनिमम तो जिक्र भी नहीं. Try to understand what the question is.
mine is sir 270 or something.
अच्छा ठीक है, तो ठीक है, 170 is not bad.
270 sir.
So कितना?
270.
हाँ वही तो कह रहा हूँ.
Yeah.
270 is not bad. 270 is good. I'm not saying that.
But
What
yeah,
I'm
I get
saying,
it. I've written very.
but why should you? Why should you? But I don't have the correct. I'm not getting the correct English word to express my, what I'm suffering right now, what I'm feeling. The point is, why if you have communicated,
Yes, sir.
already what you want, or if you have effectively conveyed your point,
Yes, sir.
Why should you unnecessarily elaborate and waste your time, precious time, and and maybe stand a chance of making your own answer seem a little doubtful or something which is unnecessarily heavy. It
Yes,
doesn't
sir.
require that heaviness.
Hmm.
सिंपल में कम्युनिकेट करो और आगे बढ़ो,
Yes, sir.
है ना? क्यों इतना घुमा फिरा के लिखते हैं? अब देखो, आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड तुमको क्या ये आदत है। तुम लोग अगर सिंपल सी यू गाइस, मोर अ लॉट ऑफ यू may actually become very good novelists, because filmmaking is about visual thinking and visual communication. It's not about your layers in your presentation of that idea. So filmmaking is something else. It's how you place a shot beside the other and communicate a feeling or invoke a feeling. It's more about that. ये इसमें इतना लड़ाई करने की जरूरत ही नहीं। ये तो वो भी वो भाप रहे हैं ना कि तुम कितना विजुअली कितना इवोकेटिव,
Yes, sir.
rather than कि तुम्हारा प्रेजेंटेशन कितना मेरे को अफेक्ट कर रहा है। तो आप प्रेजेंटेशन से मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
Yes, sir. But they are just asking about the writer, right, sir? So, I mean, I really thought
तो
कि
ये क्या बकवास है यार, तुम एफटीआई का एंट्रेंस दे रहे हो।
नहीं, sir. I mean, they're not even mentioned a screenwriter or something. So,
नहीं, it doesn't matter. The question is being asked in a film का film school pen. So it doesn't matter.
yes, sir.
It's all about what you think. And these questions, तो इसमें imagination it's pure your understanding of what you understand. It's in simple way. Do you
Yes.
understand or you don't understand?
Hmm.
As I said earlier, these are those questions जहाँ पे या तो तुमको आता है, समझ में आता है, या तो नहीं
Yes, sir.
आता है। इसमें कोई subjectivity नहीं है. These are very objective questions which demand very objective answers.
So, I mean, technically, my answer doesn't serve the purpose.
No, it's not about doesn't serve the voice. It's like unnecessary. It's like it's creating a problem for the reader. Actually.
Okay.
It could have been simply communicated in very simple words and moved on
Yes, sir.
instead of writing unnecessary sentences which do not serve the purpose.
Yes.
आगे बढ़ते हैं. The problem is that it becomes a little frustrating. This is the 14th day of our interaction. And from day one, I've been saying, भाई मेरे simple clarity of thought जा रहेगा ना, सुनो, clarity of thought अगर रहेगा तो तुम simplest of the simplest language में तुम उसको communicate करो. और जहां तुम्हारा clarity of thought नहीं है किसी subject पे, तो तुम फिर घुमा फिरा करके उसको ना बताने की कोशिश करोगे और वहां दिख जाएगा कि ऐसे तुम कोशिश करो, जैसे मेरे साथ होता है कि कभी कभी मेरे को समझाने में नहीं क्लैरिटी नहीं रहती है कि कैसे समझाऊं, तो मैं पता नहीं क्या उटपटांग इधर उधर से घुमा फिरा के समझाने की कोशिश करनी होता है. इसका एक ही मतलब है कि मैं समझा नहीं पा रहा, आई एम नॉट अ गुड कम्युनिकेटर, either not a good communicator or maybe I have not even understood your problem. And I'm trying to understand what the problem as I am trying to communicate. It is as simple. जहाँ पे क्लैरिटी एक बार में देख समझ में आता है, वहाँ पे बहुत इफेक्टिवली वो बात कम्युनिकेट होती है. And these buggers, they are actually looking for that clarity of thought. और जैसे कि मैंने बोला ना, ये क्वेश्चन ही ऐसा है कि जहाँ तो या तो पूरा नंबर मिलेगा या तो कुछ नहीं. ये बीच वाला कोई मामला ही नहीं है इसमें. कॉमन सेंस वाले क्वेश्चन. सो इसमें इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स बना करके प्रेजेंट करने का मतलब नहीं. तो आगे बढ़ते हैं.
Yes, sir. Comment on the following statement. There is no terror in the bank, only in the anticipation of it. Alfred Hitchcock's statement captures the essence of suspense and psychological tension in storytelling, especially in thriller, suspense, or horror genres. The true fear and anxiety don't lie in the shock, the violence, the bang, but in the uncertainty, waiting, and imagining imagination for it. When the audience know something is bound to happen, but don't know when or how, their minds run wild, thinking of endless possibilities, which might even be wilder or violent as intended by the filmmaker himself. This sense of unknown creates havoc, terror in the minds of audience. The filmmaker also teases the audience with plot revolving just around it, the bang, and heightens the tension with background score and lingering camera shots. The filmmaker also teases with false bangs, making the uncertainty and unfolding of events even more exciting and thrilling. Hitchcock used this in almost all his films. One such film was The Rope. The audience are just anticipating when the culprits will get caught while also rooting for them from not being caught. The anticipation of the violence, the shock drives the plot, and building everything, the characters and the setting, the mood around the bang. In this case, a dead body. In a sense, the power the power of anticipation of the bang is most effective tool for terror to thrive.
I'm glad you gave an example here. But again, this is a very good answer. तो मतलब इसमें कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं जिसमें मैं बोलूं क्या है if you remember, I was once trying to communicate to you guys about something I'm forgetting right now. How when in a fight sequence, the violence, is in the building up of the emotion. It's the violence, the impact of the blow lies in how beautifully have you created the build up to the final blow. And so some filmmakers try to achieve that, excitement, the thrill in the audience by gimmicking, by using gimmicks. For example, handheld ring में shot fight sequence होता है, या दो लोगों के बीच fight sequence होता है. And filmmaker try क्या करता है? Handheld camera movements लेता है, shaking camera movements, random cuts, इधर से angles, नीचे से ले रहा है, ऊपर से ले रहा है, slow motions ले रहा है, दांत टूट रहा है, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, ये गिमिक्स है. लेकिन ऑडियंस को इससे मजा मिलता है, लेकिन वो बहुत मोमेंट में मजा होता है. द रियल मजा लाइज कि एक ही थप्पड़ पड़ेगा, लेकिन जब वो थप्पड़ पड़ेगा वो इतना पावरफुल लगेगा ऑडियंस कि उसके पहले का जो भूमिका बांधा गया, which eventually culminates into that थप्पड़, वो भूमिका पावरफुल, वो जो बिल्डअप है to the point where the final blow happens or one blow happens, that build-up will create that joy or thrill of that one slap. You don't need to have handheld camera movement or ye or wo to create that, fake uh, excitement. The excitement will be very powerful and everlasting if the build-up is correct. Now, I don't know if I'm able to communicate this, but let me know if ये बात समझ में आई मेरी या नहीं आई. People,
Yes, sir.
सबसे पूछ लो, क्योंकि सबसे नहीं पूछ. बाकी कोई सुन ही नहीं रहा है मेरी बात.
Yes,
Anyways, मैं यही कह रहा हूँ. Okay, तो यही कह रहा हूँ कि what Alfred Hitchcock is also suggesting is the same thing. कि वो साइकोलॉजिकल टेंशन जो है वो तुम्हारा वो थ्रिलर जो है वो तुम्हारे फाइट सीक्वेंस में नहीं है. वो फाइट सीक्वेंस से पहले क्या हुआ है, बहुत देर पहले से क्या होता आ रहा है जो कल्मिनेट कर रहा है उस फाइट सीक्वेंस में, उसमें वो बिल्डअप है. अगर वो तुम्हारा बकवास है और अचानक से बस इसी रैंडम एक सिचुएशन क्रिएट हो जाता है और फिर वहां फाइट होता है, उस फाइट में मजा नहीं आएगा. उस फाइट में फिर तुम क्या करते हो, फिर तुम मजा तो आ नहीं रहा है, तुम लोग अजीब अजीब कैमरा एंगल्स और म्यूजिक और साउंड इफेक्ट्स और ये सबसे वो क्रिएट एक इल्यूजन क्रिएट करने की कोशिश करते हो मजे का, पर वो फेक होता है, वो मोमेंट्री होता है, अच्छा होता है, 5 सेकंड्स खत्म होगा तो वो इल्यूजन क्रिएट, इसीलिए बिल्ड अप। एनीवेज आगे बढ़ते Odin. Anyway, sorry. Rishabh, you have any questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
Odin.
Yes, sir. Hello?
Yes, Odin.
Yeah.
You
Should I
weren't there
start?
yesterday?
No, sir. No, sir. I wasn't there. Yeah.
ठीक है.
Yeah. Should I start?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So the first question is, using a period film as an example, elaborate on what you think is more important in a work of fiction, historical accuracy or creative freedom, and why. So it was The Other Boleyn Girl. The Other Boleyn Girl is based on real people and events from the 1500s during the reign of King Henry VIII. It tells the story of two sisters, Anne and Mary Boleyn, and how they both had relationships with the king. While the film uses real history as its starting point, it changes many facts to create more dramatic and emotional story. For example, it's true that Mary Boleyn was the king's mistress before Anne, and that Anne later became queen and was executed. But the film exaggerates their rivalry and makes Anne look like a cold and power-hungry woman, while Mary is shown as gentle and kind. Historians believe their real personalities and relationship were more complex than that. Also, the film suggests that suggests things like Anne committing incest with her brother, which most experts think was a false charge made up to get rid of her. Even with these changes, the film works well as a piece of fiction. It doesn't aim to be a history film. It tries to explore bigger ideas like ambition, love, sisterhood, and how women had to use whatever power they had in a world ruled by men. These themes connect with people today, even though the story is set hundreds of years ago. The emotional truth of the characters is more important here than the exact historical facts. Creative freedom allows writers and director to fill in the gaps where history is unclear. We don't know everything that happened between Anne, Mary, and Henry, especially behind closed doors. Fiction let us imagine what those private moments could have been like. It helps bringing the characters to life in a way that a textbook often can't. However, creative freedom should still be used with care. Making up things that are clearly untrue, like serious crimes or harmful stereotypes, can mislead people or damage the memory of real history figures. So while creative freedom is important, it should always be it should be balanced with some respect for the facts. In the end, the other boiling girl shows us that creative freedom can be more important than historical accuracy in fiction. It helps tell a powerful emotional story that connects with audience today, especially when real people and events are involved.
Just give me a moment.
Sure.
Even these changes can works well as a piece of fiction. It doesn't aim to be a history lesson, very good. It tries to explore big ideas like ambition, love, and how women had to use whatever power they had to in the world. These themes connect with people today, even though it's okay, very nice. This is a nice point. The emotional truth of the character is more important than the exact historical facts. Creative freedom allows the writer and the director to fill in the gaps. Creative freedom allows the writer and the director to fill in the gaps where history is unclear. Okay, fair enough. I beg to disagree with you here, maybe. Let's see.
Okay.
We don't know everything that happened between Anne, Madeline, and Henry, especially behind closed doors. Fiction lets us imagine what those characters could have been like. It helps bring characters to life in a way that they can often can't. Fair enough. I totally get your point. I totally get your point. But except for the first line where you say creative freedom allows the writer and you fill in the gaps with their history isn't there. मतलब but यहीं पे फिर ना the thing, see again, none of you who have attempted this question realize that period film does not necessarily पहली बात does not necessarily mean a historical film. तो जब when it is not a historical film, then this line itself is very flawed. What does it mean when the director and the writer को freedom creative freedom है allow करता है वो कुछ भी कर दे वो तो करेगा ही वो तो उसको he's meant to create out of nothing, no?
Sorry to interrupt, sir, but if the question directly asks for historical accuracy, so then shouldn't it be assumed that the period, by the period they mean?
You are right, my dear. You're right. The question is straight away asking via period film में historical accuracy का क्या महत्व है, right? Isn't it?
हाँ.
But तुम अगर अपने answer में, if you begin with your answer with the fact with suggesting that, well, a period film, although does not necessarily mean a historical film, and then you continue with your answer. Although it is not really but let's concentrate on what the question has asked. That only suggests that you're confident about what you're saying. And because you are right, isn't it? Is it not a fact? Like
Yes,
there was a recent film, Varun Grover की जो film क्या नाम उसका? अरे वरुण, हाँ sorry, give me a second. So there was this film, All India Rank, which had come like I think 6 months back. Have you guys seen or heard of it?
no, sir.
Anybody?
Yes.
Yes.
अब ऑल इंडिया रैंक को तुम हिस्टोरिकल फिल्म बोलोगे क्या? मतलब आई डोंट नो, उसको हिस्टोरिकल फिल्म तो नहीं बोल सकते मेरे ख्याल से.
नहीं बोलेंगे. तो टेक्निकली बोल सकते हैं टेक्निकली.
बट सॉरी क्या कह रहा है? बट
टेक्निकली एकदम टेक्निकली बोल सकते हैं.
हिस्टोरिकल फिल्म ये कह रहा हूँ, टेक्निकली हिस्टोरिकल, बट टेक्निकली वो पीरियड फिल्म है. तो मेरे हिसाब से हिस्टोरिकल फिल्म, अच्छा, तो एनीथिंग दैट हैज हैपेंड इन द पास्ट, बट हिस्ट्री इज व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इन द पास्ट एंड नॉट व्हाट यू इमेजिन belonging to a past. Your imagination, which belongs to the past, which is rooted in a past space, in a past time, in a past society, but it's pure imagination. How can you term that history? My question. नहीं तो फिर क्यों हम लोग पीरियड ड्रामा क्यों बोलते हैं? हिस्टोरिकल ड्रामा ही बोलते थे हर चीज को. ये पीरियड क्यों बोलते हैं? इट्स अ पीरियड फिल्म. हम हिस्टोरिकल फिल्म ही हर फिल्म जो 70s की, 80s की, 90s की, 2000s की या 2010s की भी है, उसको हम पीरियड ड्रामा क्यों बोलते हैं या पीरियड क्यों बोलते हैं? हिस्टोरिकल बोलेंगे, बट इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट. ऑल इंडिया रैंक आई डोंट रियली, मैंने कितना भी तुम सोच ले, वो पीरियड फिल्म ही कहलाएगा, वो उस कैटेगरी में, हिस्टोरिकल नहीं कहलाएगा. So there's nothing harm in actually pointing out a mistake maybe in the question itself, if you know for sure that it is correct, when you are correct. In fact, it only shows you confidence. Possibly they have placed that question key knowing that there is a flaw in the question and they're waiting for somebody to just point it out, and that somebody will possibly get the full mark. Somebody, you never know. Possibly that may be that possibly may be the case. So even though it is jumping straight to a particular aspect of period film, there's no harm in mentioning कि भैया actually ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं कि हर period film historical film ही होगा. And then you begin with your answer. That one line, because उस एक लाइन से बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स भी तुम्हारे सॉल्व होंगे. तो नहीं तुम बहुत कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी साउंड कर रहे हो कहीं पे, ना तुम्हारे आंसर तुमसे मतलब कि नॉट
Yes, sir.
what you want. One of you sound very contradictory at times, because not all period films will have these elements that because that creative freedom for that matter. I'm pointing at you. This creative freedom element for that matter. If all internet may, I'm glad that the filmmaker has used all creative freedom to express his story. अगर वो नहीं क्रिएटिव फ्रीडम एक्सप्लॉइट करेगा तो फिर कैसे वो बनाएगा वो फिल्म. उसको बहुत मुश्किल है उसके लिए फिर कोई भी इमोशन को एक्सप्रेस करना. तो उसमें तो फ्रीडम फ्रीडम चाहिए. हाँ, हिस्टोरिकल किंग अशोका पे फिल्म है, या कोई 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 लीडर पे फिल्म है, और उस पर तुम उल्टा पुल्टा कुछ भी करोगे तो फिर वहां पे क्रिएटिव फ्रीडम लिमिटेड रहेगा. वहां पे क्रिएटिव फ्रीडम के नाम पे यू कैन नॉट डिस्टॉर्ट द हिस्टोरिकली एक्सेप्टेड फैक्ट्स. ये पॉइंट बहुत है. लेकिन जब तुम पीरियड फिल्म में काम कर रहे हो तो फिर तुमको क्या मैंने लिखा है भाई एक फिल्म क्योंकि बहुत प्यारी सी फिल्म है. मेरा एक मेरा बैचमेट वो लिखा अभी उसकी फिल्म बनाई है लिटिल थॉमस के नाम से. अब द फिल्म इज अ वेरी ब्यूटीफुल स्टोरी, नथिंग टू डू विद it can be placed in any era, any space, any culture. He just chose Goa in the 70s for that story. Right? That doesn't make it a historical film. It's a beautiful, because he felt that the mise-en-scène that he was trying to achieve perfectly fit in the Goa of the 70s and supports his story. It's simple. It's just that. तो वो तो पीरियड फिल्म है, हिस्टोरिकल नहीं है. ये मैं कहना चाह रहा हूँ. तो अदरवाइज तो सब आंसर तो सही है, पॉइंट ऑफ सही करो. बट कहने का मतलब डोंट शाय अवे. एट टाइम्स होता है कि तुमको लग रहा है यार इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम है क्वेश्चन में, और झिझक होता है कि पता नहीं मैं पॉइंट आउट करूँ ये गलत है कि सही है. तो थोड़ा सा कॉन्फिडेंटली पॉइंट आउट कर दिया, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. ठीक है, आगे बढ़े.
Okay, sir.
Odin, you don't have a problem with Hindi, no?
No, sir. No, sir. समझ में आता है.
ठीक है.
So the question 2 is, what is an antagonist in a story, and what do you think are the essential characteristics of a strong antagonist? Elaborate your views with the help of an example. Okay, so answer is, an antagonist is a character, crew of characters, or force that stands in opposition to the protagonist, who is typically the main character. The antagonist creates conflicts, drives the plot forward, and often challenges the values, strength, or decisions of the protagonist. While they are commonly portrayed as villains, a strong antagonist is much more than just a source of evil. They are an essential element that shapes the protagonist's journey. A strong antagonist possesses certain key characters. They are not simply evil for the sake of being evil. Instead, they have emotions, values, and even virtues that humanize them. This complexity adds richness to the narrative and avoids the trap of creating a flat or predictable villain. In addition to being complex, a compelling antagonist should also be intelligent and strong enough to pose a real threat to the protagonist. If the antagonist is too weak, the story loses tension and fails to engage the audience. Furthermore, a powerful antagonist often has a personal connection to the protagonist, which raises the emotional stakes and intensifies the conflict. A great example of a strong antagonist is Eric Killmonger from the film Black Panther 2018. Killmonger's motivations are rooted in real-world injustices. He wants to use Wakanda's resources to liberate oppressed people across the globe, a goal that, while being noble in intention, becomes dangerous due to his violent methods. He's not a mere villain, but a tragic figure shaped by trauma. His connection to the protagonist, T'Challa, as a cousin, adds a personal layer to their conflict, making their battle not just physical but emotional. Killmonger is also a capable and intelligent fighter who temporarily defeats T'Challa and seizes to the throne, proving that he is a true challenge. Despite his harsh methods, his consistency and conviction make him one of the most memorable and thought-provoking antagonists in modern cinema. In conclusion, an antagonist is a vital part of any well crafted story. When written with care and depth, the antagonist becomes more than just a roadblock, they become a mirror, a challenge, and a driving force that shapes the hero's journey. That's it.
Okay, I think इसमें कोई problem नहीं so, except for one thing just keep in
Sure.
mind. Okay, you say, oh sorry, you say an antagonist is a character, a group of characters, of force that stand in opposition to the protagonist. The antagonist could be a socially accepted norm or a very strong value system that the protagonist has to fight and defeat. You know. So
Yes, sir.
it could also the antagonist could also be a very strong rooted idea in the society.
Yes, sir.
That doesn't mean that the whole society is the antagonist. It's the idea which is so strongly rooted, which needs to change if the protagonist eventually changes. So that also needs mention here. Baki to it's good. Let's move on to the next.
Okay. The three basic types of conflicts found in fiction stories are men against men, men against nature, men against self. Explain what you understand by this classification. The classification of conflicts in fiction as men against men, men against nature, and men against self refers to the three basic types of struggles that characters face in stories. These conflicts are essential because they create tension, drive the plot, and help develop the characters. Men against men. This is a conflict between two characters, usually the protagonist and an antagonist. It is a struggle of opposing wills, values, or goals. These stories often focus on external conflicts such as battles, competition, and personal rivalries. Example, in Mad Max Fury Road, the ongoing battle between Max and Furiosa against the immortal Joe and his followers is a clear example of men against men, men against nature. In this type, the character struggles against nature's forces like weather, animals, natural disasters, or the wilderness. The conflict shows the characters fight for survival and often reveals their resilience, courage, or helplessness in the face of uncertainties. Uncertainties, yeah. Example, The Life of Pi, thrown off by Ang Lee. The protagonist, Pi's battle for survival alongside a Bengal tiger, struggling against the rage of the sea and unpredictability of nature. Men against self. This is an internal conflict where the character battles with their own emotions, desires, fears, or moral dilemmas. It focuses on psychological or emotional struggle and often leads to personal growth and or tragedy. Example, in Shakespeare's Hamlet, the prince struggles with guilt, indecision, and the morality of revenge. His internal turmoil drives much of the story's tension. These three types of conflicts, uh, wait, yeah, these three types of conflicts help shape the structure of fiction. Men against men provides external tension. Men against nature explores humanity's place in this world. And men against self reveals the complexity of human emotion and decision making. Many stories even these combine all these types, creating layered and engaging narratives. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, and I'm glad that you end with this paragraph and you kind of also summarize that's a great.
Okay.
But nothing is wrong. Right.
Oh,
Correct.
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I chose number 5. Yeah. Which, according to you, is the most feminist film released in
Okay.
recent years and why? In the recent years, Gangubai Kathiawari, I believe, has a deeply feminist narrative in Indian cinema. Gangubai Kathiawari, 2022, directed by Sanjay Leela Bhansali, is much more than a period drama. It is a powerful feminist statement rooted in the life of a real woman who fought for the rights and dignity of sex workers in India. The film adapts a real life story from the book of Mafia Queens of Mumbai. It offers a rich and layered portrayal of female strength, social injustice, and the fight for self-respect. The film begins with Ganga, an innocent girl from a small town who dreams of becoming a Bollywood actress. She is betrayed and sold into a brothel in Kamatipuri and forced into sex work. But instead of being broken by her circumstances, Ganga reinvents herself as Gangubai, a woman who refuses to be a silent victim. Feminism here is not idealistic. It is about survival, adaptation, and resilience. Gangubai does not fit into conventional notions of morality or womanhood, yet she commands power and earns respect by asserting her agency in the harshest conditions imaginable. One of the film's most compelling themes is its critique of patriarchal society that marginalized women, especially those in sex trade. In one of the film's most striking moments, she delivers a speech at a public rally asking, औरत को इज्जत औरत को इज्जत देना सीखिए क्योंकि जहाँ औरत की बेइज्जती होती है वहाँ इंसानियत मर जाती है. Learn to respect women because where woman is dishonored, humanity dies. This moment highlights how feminism in the film goes beyond individual empowerment. Gangubai becomes a symbol for collective resistance and social justice. In a society where women are expected to be submissive, obedient, and modest, Gangubai is loud, assertive, and unafraid to take up space. She wears a power with pride, whether she's negotiating with gangsters, confronting government officials, or protecting the woman in her brothel. Alia Bhatt's performance as Gangubai is a central reason the film resonates as a feminist text. She brings both fragility and fierce confidence to the role, showing how a woman can be broken by the world yet still choose to rise. Her dialogue delivery, posture, and expressions convey a deep emotional range that humanizes Gangubai beyond her labels as a sex worker, a madam, a mafia figure. She becomes a multi-dimensional woman with dreams, pain, pride, and purpose. Gangubai Kathiawari is one of the most significant feminist films in recent Indian cinema because it tells the story of a woman from the margins and gives her the voice, respect, and power so often denied by women in real life. It challenges deeply ingrained societal taboos around sex work and redefines what leadership and strength can look like in a female character. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, ठीक है. I don't, I don't see any reason why what to point out. Uh, it's the correct answer. I hope you guys make mistakes in some of this stuff. ठीक है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं.
ठीक है सर.
You have any questions, Odin?
No, sir.
Anshul.
Hi, sir. So I started with the third one, the man against man, nature self-ala. Sir, can you scroll up? Yeah. The three basic types of conflicts found in fiction stories are man against man against nature, man against self. Explain what you understand by this classification. A story cannot progress without conflict, given that the protagonist of most stories is a human or a supernatural entity or animal or thing personified in human terms. The conflicts that arise in man's journey can be summarized in three categories. Man against man. When the fight is against another human, the man versus man conflict has been going on for centuries. Think of all the wars that men fight amongst themselves. Many action films fall in this category. Examples in film are Sholay, The Dark Knight, Singham, etc. The conflict is always between the hero and the villain, two people. Man against nature. When the fight is not against a human being but against nature at large, many adventure films fall into this category. Some examples include The Revenant, Gravity, Castaway. These are all films in which one human is trying to survive against all odds in the face of a nature that is harsh and unforgiving. Man against self. This is a spiritual battle. Here, the conflict is overcoming one's inner demons, the negative that exists within. A lot of romance and drama films fall in this category. Examples include Gehraya, Call Me by Your Name, Birdman, etc. In all these films, the main character needs to face their own trauma and past actions and find a way to reconcile with them in order to grow as a person. Some films, like the recent F1, consist of a combination of all three. Sonny fought against himself and his racing instincts. He fought against the businessmen who control the team. and he fought against nature, the system which didn't allow him the strongest car for a fair race.
It's a great answer, except for one thing. You say man against man when the fight is against the human. The man versus man conflict has been going on for centuries. Think of all the wars that men fight amongst themselves in the act of war in this category. Examples from are Sholay, blah blah. The conflict is always between the hero and the villain. Well, it's not necessarily two people, it could be two groups of people. It could be one man against a group of people. It could be one man against the entire society, or at times even one man against the entire nation.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true.
so, so yeah,
Yeah,
that is also that society is also man.
yeah,
And then you say man against nature, fight not against a human being, but against nature at large. Okay? Many adventure films and all the films in which human is trying to survive against all odds in the face of nature, that is harsh and unforgiving. Well, in this case, what you're saying is correct, it's not wrong, except that he's not trying to survive. Not just he has to survive, he also has to save the world from that nature's parents. So he's fighting for humanity somewhere. He's just not fighting for himself. When in man against nature. If I am making sense.
how is he trying to save the world through, like, in
When
the
you say,
Gravity or Castaway?
oh, fair enough. Fair enough. But let's say gravity. So, or
I
let's
think in a
say,
way, just by saving themselves, they are kind of saving humanity just by like showing.
no.
some-
I think the name somewhere, it's a Hollywood film that the hero has to do something and save a meteorite that is going to strike the earth on a particular day, and nothing
Oh,
can stop it.
don't look up.
Don't look up.
Right.
Yeah, don't look up.
So वहाँ पे तो he is not just trying to save himself, he is also
Mm,
trying to
yeah,
he's kind of trying to save the whole humanity.
yeah, that's true.
So so again, it's just not a fight against between he and the man and nature. And again, the man definition of man could be one human being representing the mankind.
Yeah,
And the man against self is one such conflict that every other film usually had. Every protagonist in a film, some point or the other, has to overcome himself, has to overcome some negatives of himself, has to overcome some weakness that he has always lived with. And only then that we will become all powerful. And then that he will win the war. So that man against self is again is usually like whenever you're talking of man against man against nature, this usually is also parallelly present. Those characters. So and rarely, but like not very often, but there are films like you mentioned, Birdman, for example, great example, is about man against self. It's that inner conflict. The entire film is
yeah.
based, on the conflict that he's facing. But otherwise, this can be present even here and even here. along with these the primary conflicts.
Yeah.
बाकी तो सब कुछ.
Oh, okay. So next question.
Yeah.
What do you think the following quote conveys? No tears in the writer, no tears in the reader. No surprises in the writer, no surprise in the reader. I think the quote is trying to say that the audience can feel only what the writer has felt. If the writer doesn't use his real personal experiences in a story, then the pain expressed by his characters won't be real because he has never felt it himself. I know if I had to write a story about gender dysphoria, my audience would feel it to their bone because it's something I have lived and felt immensely. So there is no way I can lie about it. Fiction can be used to tell the truth if it's personal enough. I think the second thing the quote is trying to say is that the writer is always his first reader. If the writer cannot make himself cry, of course he won't be able to make his audience cry because they are not better or worse than him. They are him. If the writer surprises himself by his own observations and experiences, then it is safe to say that he cannot surprise the reader, because the reader is not going to make the observations and experiences for him. I believe that the most impactful and memorable writing happens only when the writer feels a compulsion to purge himself of an idea that has disrupted his life. It is only in these experiences and feelings that are so strong and cannot be contained within the self that a pure and unadulterated form of expression comes about, which carries the power to truly change its reader.
That's nice. Just give me. I know if I had to write a story about gender, yeah, my audience would feel to their bone because it's something I have lived with and felt. There is no way I can lie about it. Fiction can be used if it's personal. I think the second thing this book is trying to say is the writer is always his first reader. Writer is always his first reader. Fair enough. The writer cannot make himself cry because won't be able to make on. Also, if the writer can make it. I believe the most impactful when writing happens only when the writer feels compulsion to purge himself with an idea that is not his life. It is only in these experiences and feelings that are so strong it cannot be contained within itself. The pure and the form of education, the pure and the form of comes which carry for fair enough, nice. वही सोच रहा था कि क्या तुमने भी वही वाली गलती करी है क्या कि you explain things which are so complex and or maybe simple things but in a complex way. But what you're talking about here is not it's not a simple thing. It's a very complex understanding of how of the process of writing it. So it's actually a very it's a very it's a great answer. But I wish you had been a little more simpler with, see when I think in your expression, I wish you had not made me go through the whole thing again.
Hmm.
So, although I don't know how would you do it, but somewhere I felt it is
Hmm.
important, but I have to go back again.
Yeah, I understand
So,
that, and I think I can make those edits also. But then I feel like it's like it only happens in hindsight, like once I've written it. So, like in the case of the exam, when I'm writing the answer and then like going back, how am I supposed to make those edits? Like I don't have like a backspace or like it to
I
keep
get
during
it.
the exam, na.
हाँ मतलब वो तुमको तो लिखते समय ही वो conscious but the more but वो self defeating है if
Yeah,
you become conscious तो वो जो flow है
yeah, exactly. It is so
that will
difficult
break.
to manage.
ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं.
Huh. Okay, so the fifth one is, which according to you is the most feminist film released in recent years and why? I was conflicted between All We Imagine Is Light and Anora, but I'll talk about the former as it was directed by a woman. The inner and outer life of the migrant Indian working woman has not been explored as the main subject of any film. Some Indian films may have addressed this theme in a tertiary manner, but Payal Kapadia's film is the first which takes these characters and brings them to the forefront of their story. The film can be called feminist because its existence calls for an urgent need for better and wider representation of the female phenomenology. That is, the authentic depictions of female experiences from their subjective point of views. The female desire is seen as taboo and a marginalized emotion she cannot talk about, whereas a man's desires are explicitly propagandized in every other action blockbuster, making it a symbol to be reproduced by all men. Because of cinema and its widespread reach, the symbols we see on screen are what we normalize in our personal fantasies. Therefore, if the representation on screen is singularly masculine, then our social order and its reproduction too will be masculinized. In order to combat this, it is imperative for films that depict the feminine consciousness to be made and spread as widely as the animals and Kabir Singhs of our time.
That's again a wonderful answer, except for one very, very problem, which is you say that you were conflicted between all we imagine is light and no. Then you choose the former because it was directed by women. अभी ये जो लाइन है ना, ये कोई पॉइंट नहीं है यार.
Yeah,
व्हाट
that is
इस
true.
इंफॉर्मेशन का मैं क्या करूं? वो वुमन है इसलिए तुमने उसका फिल्म ले लिया, ये तो कोई पॉइंट नहीं है.
Yeah, नहीं है. I
वो
agree.
वुमन है इसका मतलब ये कोई तो बात नहीं कि वो फेमिनिस्ट फिल्म होती हो.
Yeah, I should have taken that one out.
मतलब ये जो अलग से एम्फसाइज किया है वो ही नहीं करना चाहता. वो
हाँ.
मुझे ऐसे भी बोलता कि आई एम कंफ्लिक्टेड दीस टू बट आई एम पिकिंग ऑल वी इमेजिन इज लाइक एंड फेयर
Yeah.
वही पे आगे बढ़. व्हाई स्ट्रेसिंग? बिकॉज it is factually incorrect and because ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं कि women are the biggest feminists, you know.
Yeah.
There are men who are bigger feminists than women themselves.
Hmm.
ये कोई point नहीं. Sociology में एक कहावत है, fact है, especially in India, the mother-in-laws are more patriarchal than men themselves in the family. So you can't beat that. It's a age or it's a thousands of years का evolution that happened. You can't fight a woman or you not say that a woman is just because by virtue of being a woman she is. बाकी तो सही है,
Hmm.
कोई problem नहीं. I'm glad you brought up Payal Kapadia, actually relevant, correctly in fact. And I'm so glad you mentioned animal and Kabir. It is so fitting here and so correctly. You know?
हाँ.
Well played. It's a great answer. तुझे टाइम कितना लगा इसको कंपोज करने में?
ये तो एक्चुअली क्वाइट जल्दी लिख दिया, लाइक 5-6 मिनट ही लगे होंगे लिखने में. But that is because I was typing. So I guess when I'm writing it will take 10 minutes. But I didn't have to think much about this. It just like flew uh, properly because like it's something I have thought about also quite a lot. So that answer was easy to write.
हाँ,
But
great. In
इसमें
fact,
हाँ.
तो नहीं इसी तेरा क्लैरिटी ऑफ जो थॉट वाली बात में कह रहे थे, तो तेरे अंदर है वो एक लेवल का क्लैरिटी in certain situations you are very very clear of what you want to communicate or what you're very how do I put it, you're confident, you know, about placing your opinion. You are not struggling कि मैं सही बोल रहा हूँ या नहीं सही. बोला context है, so that helps you. It is important.
But writing this next answer took some time for me.
By the way, you know, a moment of it's something I got reminded of. I think I should share here. थोड़ा सा हटके है. तो हमारे एक टीचर हुआ करते थे, तो उन्होंने एक फिल्म बनाई थी काली सलवार. ठीक है, तो अगेन वो फेमिनिस्ट, वुमन ओरिएंटेड फिल्म था ये वो. तो बहुत सारे फिल्म फेस्टिवल्स में उनको इनवाइट किया था, और कुछ एक फेमिनिस्ट फिल्म फेस्टिवल में इनवाइट किया था, तो वो फेमिनिस्ट फिल्म फेस्टिवल्स जो भी 41 की था उसमें गई, एंड उसने अपना स्पीच शुरू किया और भी बोला कि ये जो फेमिनिस्ट फिल्म फेस्टिवल्स है, ये themselves are the biggest. The fact that we are having feminist film festival is self-defeating, as in ki that is somewhere, creating that platform of feminism, and men versus women, and you are yourself kind of creating that separation. And so this is not very well received in that. But that's a fact. लेकिन ऐसे वो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कहीं भी किसी भी लेवल पे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है, तो वो तो वेरी कॉज को ही डिफीट करता है। Anyways, ये आगे बढ़ते हैं। Good.
So, answer 6. Comment on the following statement. There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it. Alfred Hitchcock. The same way there is no terror in death, only in the anticipation of it. That is, in life. When the bullet is finally released, all the tension is released with it too. It is when the gun is taken out and pointed at you that you're afraid. It is the future that scares you, the impossibility of having it once the gun fires. The bang is the catharsis, the facing the gun, the terror. The movie La Haine ends with a gunshot we do not see, but it immediately sends ripples down us because we are finally given an answer to the ticking clock that keeps running from the start of the film, increasing the feeling of suspense in us, leaving us with so many questions like what is going to happen? Why do I keep seeing this clock again and again? Is someone going to die? But who? Nothing feels right throughout the course of the film until the final shot, where the gun is fired and we know who is dead. While the result of the gunshot may not be right, the closure surely feels right as a viewer, because all the questions that have been brooding in me for 2 hours finally have an answer. There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it, because when it bangs, I won't be here to feel afraid. Or if I am still here, knowing the shot missed, I won't know how to feel afraid. Fear is the journey, death and life, the destination.
Yeah, I don't know क्या लिखा है, मेरे को मैंने ठीक है वैसा कुछ नहीं, बट it simply means कि भाई, मैं एक सिंपल सा एनालॉजी देता हूँ कि शोले में गब्बर सिंह है। हाँ, तो कहानी है कि लोग फिल्म में, नॉट मिस्टेकन, 2-3 बार बातें करते हैं, "बेटा सो जा, नहीं तो गब्बर आ जाए, ठीक है, सो जा, बदमाशी मत कर, तो गब्बर आ जाएगा।" तो whenever this moment happens in the society, in the story, you create an image of this Gabbar Singh who is about to come. Or for that matter, if you've seen The Seven Samurais. Have you seen Seven Samurai?
No, I haven't.
अरे भाई, देख ले, सबको बोल रहा हूँ। ये तो एक फिल्म में, तो तुम देखो और तुमको इतना मजा आएगा, मजा मतलब सो एंजॉय। अब वो पूरी फिल्म ही इस बात पे डिपेंड करती है। 3 घंटे की फिल्म है जिसमें 2.5 घंटे तक बात हो रही है कि डकैत आने वाले हैं, गाँव में, डकैत आने वाले हैं, and the whole village is prepared to fight the dacoits. And finally the dacoits, the team, the gang. So the whole film is about, अगर वो पहले मोमेंट से ही फिल्म में होता कि भाई the village is fighting the dacoits, तो वो जो डाकू है उनका वैल्यू नहीं, उनका वैल्यू इसलिए बन जाता है, और ऑडियंस को इतना पावरफुल, इतना वो टेरर आ जाता है कि 2 घंटे 2.5 घंटे पूरी फिल्म जो है एंटिसिपेट करी कि अब आएगा, अब आएगा। गांव से लोग गए हैं शहर, 7 सामुराइज को पिक एंड चूज करके लेके आने के लिए, क्योंकि वो वाइज ओल्ड मैन जो गांव का है, दादा जो है, बाबा, उसने बोला कि इन डाकुओं को सिर्फ 1-2 आदमी से नहीं फाइट हो सकता, हमें 7 सामुराइज फाइट करनी। फिर ये लोग जाते हैं बेचारे गरीब गांव वाले अपने जो भी रिसोर्सेज को लेकर के 7 सामुराइज को पिक एंड चूज करके लेके आए। ये तो फिल्म तुम लोग आज देखो यार, मजा आ जाएगा। वो जाते हैं और फिर फाइनली वो 7 सामुराइज इकट्ठे होते हैं और फिर वो लोग आते हैं गाँव में और स्ट्रैटेजी बनाते हैं और फिर वेट करते हैं, वेट करते हैं, वेट करते हैं, वेट करते कि आज आएगा, कब आएगा, कभी आ सकता है, कभी आ सकता है। Eventually वो आता है। और जब वो आते हैं और जो फाइनल फाइट होता है, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि वो फाइट में ना वो इतना इंथ्रॉलिंग, इतना एक्सिलरेटिंग, इतना ब्यूटीफुल है, इतना वंडरफुल है, बिकॉज तुम 2.5 घंटे से उस फाइट का वेट कर रहे हो। अब होगी वो फाइट, अब होगी वो फाइट और जीतेगा गाँव। गाँव जिसमें कि गाँव भी, जो कि परफेक्ट गाँव नहीं है, उसमें भी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, उसमें भी ग्रीड है, ये है, वो है, सारे एलिमेंट्स हैं फ्लॉड सोसाइटी। बट इवेंचुअली दैट सोसाइटी, दैट विलेज is weak, and you don't want the weak to suffer anymore. So it's a beautiful film, I think, in so many ways.
Yeah, I have to watch that one.
So वही वाली बात है,
Hmm.
वो एंटिसिपेशन से मतलब वही है और कुछ नहीं
हाँ
मिल रहा है। तुम्हें पता नहीं कुछ और ही लिखा है शायद यहाँ पे,
हाँ, नहीं इसमें ये आंसर में थोड़ा स्ट्रगल किया मैंने. आई थिंक व्हाट यू सेड इज राइट. It should focus more on like the simple way it is deployed in a film.
हाँ मतलब इसे एक और थोड़ा फनी इंसिडेंट याद आया कि मेरा दोस्त है, वो कहीं गया था फिल्म पढ़ाने ठीक है, तो उसको टॉपिक मिला था टाइम एंड स्पेस इन सिनेमा।
Hmm.
तो उसको टाइम एंड स्पेस मिला, तो वो टाइम का कॉन्सेप्ट पूरा तैयार कर लिया है, टाइम, आइडिया ऑफ टाइम, फिजिक्स ऑफ टाइम। इट्स वेरी स्टूपिड एक्चुअली। फिल्म में टाइम एंड स्पेस इन सिनेमा से मतलब टाइम का वो वाला नहीं है, कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ टाइम और टाइम सिंपल की टाइम कैसे, टाइम को खेलते हैं। तो अब उसने कर लिया, बाद में उसको लिख ऑफ द टाइम्स को रियलाइज हुआ, फिर कॉन्फ्रेंस में बात हुआ, आइडियाज की ये वही वाली तेरा आंसर का वही कहीं सिंपल सी चीज को तू मिस कर गया, आई थिंक। बट
हाँ.
एनीवेज आगे आगे बढ़ते हैं। अच्छा मैं क्या पूछ रहा हूँ कि हम आधा भी नहीं, हम एग्जैक्टली हाफ पहुंच के आशना इधर। आशना इज देयर, तो कैन वी कंटिन्यू फ्रॉम आशना's answer for tomorrow? Is it okay for you guys?
Sure,
We
sir.
have 27 pages.
Yes,
We have
sir.
27 pages and we are not even halfway through. Already 2 hours. मतलब अगर क्लियर इसको पूरा करने जाएंगे तो इतने अराउंड 2 आवर्स। बट पॉइंट इज कि तो कल भी जाएगा।
और कल क्या
अ,
क्या करेंगे फिर?
कल का क्या करेंगे वही है।
हाँ सर, आप इन लोग
एक,
को एक रिटर्न फीडबैक दे दो.
नहीं ऐसा
हाँ
नहीं।
या अलग सेशन ले लो इन लोग का.
ओके. हेलो सर.
अच्छा एक काम करो, मेरे को हाँ बोल, कौन बोल रहा या उड़े।
सर एक क्वेश्चन है. मतलब while writing the answers, exam में does like quality matters or like both quality or quantity दोनों भी? For like this was for 5 marks, right? Each questions. तो उसमें quality matter करता है फिर या फिर दोनों भी quality and quantity according to you?
देख देख फिल्म में क्वांटिटी रियली डजंट मैटर, बट
Yes, sir.
क्वालिटी डेफिनेटली मैटर,
Yeah.
डेफिनेटली मैटर।
Yeah, but they have certain marks for it, right? So इसलिए
हाँ तो
इसलिए
दे ऑल दे आर लुकिंग फॉर इज क्वालिटी, सिंपल। बट
yeah.
क्वालिटी से मतलब तेरा प्रेजेंटेशन वाला क्वालिटी नहीं, तो क्वालिटी
Yes, sir.
मतलब क्लैरिटी ऑफ थॉट वाला क्वालिटी।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
क्वालिटी से मतलब तेरा इमेजिनेशन का क्वालिटी,
Sure.
वो वाला क्वालिटी,
ठीक है
तो
सर.
दैट डेफिनेटली मैटर। और क्वांटिटी का जहाँ तक है ना, इट डजंट मेक सेंस, यू नो। If you've made your point, if the answer demands 500 words, but you've clearly in very beautiful way finished your answer in 350 words, why should you bother to fill up the whole page in your 150 words extra? Why will you do that? Until you're not
Sahi,
very
sahi.
sure, and then you can still continue and try and nahi. But the moment you feel that any more word that I am going to write is going to repeat, sound repetitive, you stop and move on to the next one. Because if the quality of answer is good, the reader will read the story, read your answer, and feel so
Yes, sir.
happy, feel so wonderful. He wouldn't bother you कि तुमने 500 वर्ड का आंसर को 350 वर्ड में बोल दिया, 400 वर्ड में.
Mm.
Why is it 100 words?
Yes,
That
sir.
is not the point itself. So quality is definitely most important. Quantity
Yes, sir.
doesn't really. So,
Okay,
Asha,
sir.
tell me, what do we do? Are you guys okay if we continue from here for tomorrow? And let's say if there's another pile over, let's say, then I will request sir to give us one extra day or someday. Once when we finish, but we won't let it go. We won't let it. We won't be too. क्या कह रहा हूँ? मैं कह रहा हूँ कि हम लोग हमारी मेहनत बर्बाद नहीं होने देंगे. ये मैं कह. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sure, sir, it works. Yes, sir, it works.
What about the ones who are about Ashna and the rest? But that doesn't mean कि जिनका हो गया वो कल नहीं आएगा. Then it will be unfair. So you have to be present with your कल वाला भी answer. Because we are not just here to listen to our write-ups and to figure out the problems in your write-ups. You're also here to learn from others' mistakes. So don't take it to. Ashna, are you there? Can you hear me, Ashna? Ashna, hey. Arman, are you there?
Yes, sir.
तो आप क्या कह रहे हैं?
Sir, कल ही करते हैं because again it's 11:30 now.
हाँ यार, कल ही करते हैं. सबके लिए थोड़ा थकने वाली बात.
कल चलेगा.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
It's better we continue from tomorrow.
हाँ, ज्यादा नहीं, लेकिन हाँ कल ही करते. ठीक है, चलो कल ऐसे भी आधा घंटा एक्स्ट्रा ही बैठेंगे.
Okay.
ठीक है भाई लोग, चलो फिर अपना ध्यान रखो और मजे करो.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.